Okay, Anonymous asks, Hi Shifu, one Buddhist told me bad people will retribution by their own karma, and we shouldn't report their unethical practice to authorities. What's Shifu's view? Thanks. Well, if you see a crime committed, I think you probably should report that. There's no mention inside the sutras where it says that one cannot report the crime that is done to authorities. Well, it's like in the Buddha's time, there are many people, and many times these are the senior monks and nuns. They reported to the Buddha, or rather they consulted the Buddha on the behaviors of certain monks and nuns. And then the Buddha verified with the said person. Then when it's determined to be contravened to the practice, then he established a new rule. He never once tell those who reported the incident to him. He never tell them, you all should not report their unethical practice. You should just leave them to their own karma. Yeah, there's no such a basis. Yeah. But at the same time, in the Anguttara Nikaya, in book 4, there's a sutta, can't remember the Pali name, is sometimes translated as grudges, sometimes translated as like hatred or something. So it says, if a person has like grudges towards someone, there are 4 or 5 steps. 4 steps. Yeah, I think 4 steps one can do. Yeah. So the first 3 is part of the 4 immeasurables. The first 3 is like loving kindness, compassion, and I think equanimity. The rejoicing part is not included. Then number 4, there's actually, book 5, because there's 5 parts. Number 4 is quite interesting. Number 4 says, do not keep the person's actions in your mind. Do not think of that person. Do not go and keep looking at what the person is doing. Yeah. Then number 5 is, if all fails, then keep in mind, this good sir, this good person, yeah, is the owner of his actions, is the heir of his actions. Yeah. This person shall reap the fruits of his actions. Yeah. That we shouldn't have to be concerned about the outcome. But this is pertaining to if you have a grudge towards that person. So meaning that you should not be you should not be bothering yourself with someone if you have some grudges with that person. Yeah. Granted, I would still say, if you see someone killing someone, yeah, whether you have grudge or not, you should report. You probably should report. Yeah. And again, context is also important. Yeah, context is also important. Yeah. But generally, if we just look at this question, bad people were retribution by their own karma. I think what this person is trying to say, that people who do bad deeds will receive results because of their karma. Yeah. So does it mean that then anyway they'll receive so I don't have to be bothered or involved? Yeah. I seem to vaguely recall that there may have been some teachers who suggest that not to get involved in the whole process at all. That means even reporting the wrongdoing, we don't get involved at all. I don't see how there's any canonical basis for that. Yeah, meaning that I don't see any basis in the sutta that says that you should just keep quiet when people are doing wrong. Yeah, I think sometimes in Buddhist tradition, we need to understand the context for the teachings in different parts. Because there are some parts where the Buddha say, like something to the extent of not to spend your time looking at people's faults. Yeah, don't spend your time looking at people's faults. And then in other places, the Buddha also said, those who keep on having this thought, this person hurt me, this person harmed me, such a person will never find peace, right? Yeah. So taken together, we may misconstrue and say, oh, we should just keep quiet when people do anything wrong. Yeah. But as I mentioned, if that is the case, then whenever the monks, and these are senior monks who came to report to the Buddha, this particular monk, he did this, he did that. Is that okay? Yeah, they would ask the Buddha. There's nowhere that I hear the Buddha say, that we see the Buddha say, oh, huh? Oh yeah, 罪过,罪过, huh? I never see the Buddha say such things, saying, oh yeah, you keep telling tales on people. Huh? Practice noble silence. Don't talk, don't say anything bad about people. The Buddha never says such things. Yeah. The Buddha don't say such things. So you need to understand the context where the Buddha say, don't preoccupy yourself with the faults of others. In many of those cases, it is pertaining to when a person is having spiteful thoughts. That means you tell me off, then I keep. That means there's some problem already. Then you keep on thinking of how the person had problem, how the person had problem. Yeah. Oh, so the context is important. Okay. Hmm. Any thoughts about this? Any other thoughts about this? One pause. Yes.
So we can ask a question.
Related to this?
Something like that.
Okay.
If we find any, say, unethical conduct in the, let's say, among monastic committee, is it okay to report to authority?
Report to authority as in like government?
Like police or something?
Well, in Thailand, they do that. Yeah. In the, I think it appeared in Western news, I think a couple of years ago, there were some reports about one of the very renowned, I don't know whether he's a Rinpoche, but he's a very renowned teacher in the Tibetan tradition. Yeah, and I do see that certain community feel that it should have been reported earlier. Certain community feel that it shouldn't be reported. Yeah, so yes, among the Buddhist community, not just Tibetan, among the various Buddhist community, there sometimes is a bit of disparity whether such things should or should not be reported. Yeah. I think the minimum it should be the person should be how do I put it? It should be raised to at least within the, if it's, let's say, because sometimes it's lay, because like the one that I know of is actually a lay teacher. Yeah, because Rinpoche can be monastic, can be lay. Yeah, don't think in the Buddhist community only monks and nuns 干坏事. Lay teachers can also 干坏事. Okay, yeah. As long as you're not enlightened, you it's possible that you may do something stupid.
Yeah.
Now the question is, like in Singapore, in the past how many years, there were cases where certain things happened, and then whether it's in Buddhism or other religion, then it was raised, right? Yeah, it was reported. So on one hand, if there are anything within the Buddhist community, it should be first raised to certain, let's say, authorities within the Buddhist community, so that they can go and do some fact-finding first. Yeah. And but I don't say that, oh, cannot report to the authorities if it's a violation of the law, right? Because if it's not violation of law, then you report to authorities. Authorities is like, wow, that's within your religion. Doesn't violate the law. We cannot do anything also. Yeah, so here we're talking about violation of law. Okay, so it should still be raised to the authority, like within the community, the seniors lah. See what can be done first, and at least do some fact finding. Because sekali, sometimes we hearsay, then what if it's not, and by the time if the authorities is involved, then it's made public, then later, oh, actually due to some technicality or whatever, or actually it's not exactly that case, then by then the damage is done. Yeah. And then on that note, I also certain cases, like in Singapore itself, there was one the most recent case, but it's not so recent, it's a couple of years ago. Then there was a trial, and among the Buddhist community, some youths, they actually they actually had an informal meeting, and somehow they go and invite me. I was the only Sangha member invited. So, but as I sometimes share, I don't go and think why people do this or do that. So when they invite me, I also go. When I arrived, then I realized, I'm the only Sangha member. And the general sentiments during that discussion was that they feel that the sick individual should disrobe before going for trial, because they feel that the person's conduct is, tainting and marring the pristine state of the Dharma and Buddhism. So then I told them, I said, well, I don't know. Yeah. I asked them, I said, if let's say a man committed a crime, do the men all ask him to change his gender before you go on trial? You put all the men to shame. No, you shouldn't be a man to go on trial. Or if it's a woman who committed a crime, do we tell the woman, you should change your gender? Best change to genderless, then you go on trial, so that all the women don't get affected. Or how about if this person is, well, if this person is family, did something wrong, go on trial, do the family then say, you change your surname, or we disown you first before you go on trial? We don't do such things, right? Yeah. I'm not suggesting to condone or to like cite whoever did whatever, simply because we are related. But my point to them is, on one hand, it seems like, yeah, this person did something wrong, we just let him face the music himself. But then I asked them, what happened to the Bodhisattva ideal? What happened to the Mahayana teachings? 众生无边誓愿度. What happened to we always position 地藏菩萨 as, wow, see 地藏菩萨, yeah, so great, Kichigaba Bodhisattva. And we say, oh, you see his vow, why is he considered to be so great? Because 地狱不空誓不成佛. That he even tried to liberate sentient beings in hell. Actually, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas try to liberate sentient beings from all realms, including Tizampusa, but he's known for that saying. So many people wrongly think that, oh, Tizampusa is stuck in hell. No, his vow actually cover all sentient beings. All Bodhisattvas vow to liberate beings from all realms, right? So then I asked them, who do you think is reborn in hell? Now, and just for context, in Buddhism, you are reborn in hell not because of punishment from Buddha or Bodhisattva. You are reborn in hell purely because of your own karma, and it's not eternal. No, not eternal hell. Even if you're reborn in heavenly realms, it's not eternal also. Yeah, because our actions are finite. No matter how evil, it's finite. So you get finite results for a long time, but still finite. So that aside, so I asked them, do you think those who are reborn in hell has done bad things? And I said yes. And from the descriptions in the suttas, they must have done very bad things. Then they can qualify to be reborn in hell, right? Yes. Do you think they have done worse things than what has been done by this individual? And they become silent. I say, surely worse off, right? Maybe some are not worse off. I don't know. But surely you can find hell beings who have done heinous deeds, like 忤逆奸罪、杀父杀母、杀罗汉、出佛身血、破佛身。Yeah. Yet in Buddhism we say out of compassion, Bodhisattvas, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas still try to reach out to them to help them. Not simply just write off their wrong, but to help them to change. Yeah. To change doesn't mean that, oh, just cut short your sentence and then done. But to change means if the person can disconnect themselves from those harmful deeds, yeah, that means the mindset to have to not resonate with those karma, then the person may be reborn elsewhere. But the potential for that karmic seed is still there. That means it's not fully used up. So if the person connect again reborn, yeah, that's why in the Tizampusa it describes such situation. So I asked them then, I said, if we are so eager to liberate beings in the lower realms, a lot of people always, oh, the hungry ghost beings are suffering, the hell beings are suffering, animal realms are suffering, we should help them. Then why not this human being? Yeah. So I told them, I said, on one hand, we shouldn't, because this person has done good, then ignore any wrong the person has done. At the same time, we shouldn't then wipe out all the good just because this person has done some wrong. Yeah. I think sometimes we need to keep things in perspective also. Yeah. Then there's a chance for people to change now. Yeah. Otherwise, then how? You did wrong. Forever. Banishment. Buddhism, there's no such a thing as forever. Yeah. So, yeah, because your action is not forever. Oh, so that's my thoughts about that. Yeah. Yeah, but this area of matters is something that, in a way, there's no model answer. Yeah. Oh. But sometimes, depending on how it pans out, then it's easy for people to say, we should have done this, we should have done that. Yeah, but never easy, never easy. Li Ying asked, could this possibly be a breeding ground for abuse from the leadership? Well, in any organizations, if the so-called leadership rightly speaking, in Buddhism, there's no such a notion of leadership in that sense. Yeah. Within the Sangha, we are supposed to have a one monk, one vote basis. Yeah. And as I shared it with some of the volunteers and some classes before, in Buddhism, the taking up of roles comes with responsibilities. We don't say, oh, because this person become more senior, he has more power. We don't say, oh, she has now become an abbess, so she has more power. No. But actually, each time you become more senior, you actually have more responsibility. Yeah. Yeah. So that should be the angle. Yeah. But is it possible for it to become a breeding ground for abuse? Sentient beings will abuse anything that they can abuse. Have you all heard of the what is that? What is that university called? There's this university in US back in the, don't know, 60s or 70s. They did this experiment, or rather not the university, one of the researcher did this experiment. And this became a very big problem. So it basically, I won't go into the full detail of the experiment, but it is pertaining to how people who are given authority or power, even if it's just an experiment, easily succumb to corruption by the power. Yeah, you know, as the saying say, absolute power absolutely corrupts. Yeah. So that's why in the teachings, right? In the teachings, novices are allowed to take leave from the preceptor if the novice find that the preceptor is not a suitable teacher. Yeah. If we go by strictly by the Vinaya, as stated by the Buddha, he did put in some check and balances to make sure that students receive the right teachings. Yeah, so it's not like, oh, if this person looks like a monk, dressed like a monk, speak like a monk, then you must obey all instructions. No such a thing. But at the same time, just yesterday or 2 days ago, a student was asking me, was sharing about how her colleague is the, don't know, president of some Christian fellowship in the university. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether it's colleague or maybe one of the intern. So she was, and she was, yeah, some Christian fellowship, and it's under the Catholic group. So she said that intern or colleague shared with her that she's going to rally all the Catholics of all the different from all within the university to come together. So this student shared with me and asked me like, how come Buddhism don't do that? Huh? Yeah, how come we seem to be quite disunited? Like we don't have, why don't anybody come up and say, oh, let's unite together under this banner or something? And this is not the only student. Many students have raised this over the years. Well, the thing is, different religions have different structural core. You know, different religions have different structural core. There was once a monk who, an Amor monk, he's very interesting. One day he asked me, he said, if we look at Christianity and Buddhism, now it so happened that these individuals tell me about Christianity and Buddhism, a comparison. And he said, you look at all the Christian countries, they embrace democracy and they are better off than the so-called Buddhist countries. It would appear that Buddhist countries are all laid back, are all not in a good state. Yeah. So wouldn't you have to agree that Christianity has a positive influence on society? So then I told him, I said, I thought about it, then I told him, but democracy predates Christianity. Yeah, the Western democracy stems from ancient Greece. They didn't worship the Christian God. They were considered paganistic by the Roman Catholics. The Greece, Athens, all those Mediterranean countries, they have their own god, Zeus. You know, yeah, Athens itself is one of the god, the name, right? So India itself has some kind of republican democracy concept also. That's why in the Buddha's time, the Sangha was organized with one person, one vote. When there's decisions to be made, there is a monk who is appointed to convene the meeting, and then he will declare the motion. You know, today we call it a motion, right? Yeah. So in the Vinaya, we call it 103节魔. Yeah. So one declaration, and then we will do the execution. Yeah, by asking 3 times. Yeah. So I asked him. I said, but first of all, democracy predates Christianity. And then within the Christian, from what I know, in Christian theology, the relationship is not one of equal grounds. Yeah. So it's always the divine being. Maybe we can take it out of context of Christianity. Yeah. In most religion, the divine being at the core of it, of the religion, is not some state that you can actually reach. Yeah. Whereas in Buddhism, you can become Buddha. You know? Yeah. But the point is, so I told that student, within the core structure of the teachings and the religion, there's no such a notion as a monolithic leadership that comes from the top down. Yeah. In many ways, Buddhism is structured more like a republic. Yeah, like Republic of Singapore. Right? Singapore known as the Republic of Singapore, right? So republics are run, at least the way we have, is run by a constitution. Yeah. So what is the constitution? You mean Sifu? Buddhism has a constitution? Yeah. It's called the Dharma Vinaya. Yeah. Chinese is called 法律. 法皮那耶 is actually 法律 ma. Yeah. So the Buddha in many places highlighted to the monks that you should have the Dharma Vinaya as your anchor, as your basis. Yeah. So like in the other class when we talk about the Sangha structure, right? Yeah. How do we decide? We decide based on what has been stated inside the Dharma Vinaya. Yeah. So yeah, so as a result, Buddhism, sometimes the structure leaves it open for people to implement what is suitable. Yeah. And as a result, then it's up to individual communities to be self-disciplined. Can it be a ground for abuse? As I said, yeah, it's not difficult to have abuse. Even in ECA, yeah, in ECA in the school, there are sometimes abuse also, isn't it? Yeah, Sec 3, Sec 4 bully the Sec 1, Sec 2. Melita asks, how can we develop mudita in the workplace? How do we develop mudita in the workplace? Let me just put that on hold first. Ling chimes in, there are many denominations in Christianity, and they may not always be united unless there's a common social political target. There are also internal strife. Yeah, I mean that is historical fact now. Yeah, that's also part of the reason why there is the different denominations. Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask a question in private. Why do Buddhists have to prostrate to the Buddha and the Sangha? Like, since this is a republic and not an absolute monarchy. So even in the prostration is just a form of a way to pay respect. So in the army, it's also a republic. In Singapore, it's a republic, right? But in the army, you have to salute each other. Yeah. So paying respect can come in the form of a salute. Yeah. It can come in the form of anjali. Yeah. It can come in various forms. Yeah. In the Buddha's time, there's no so-called instituted format where individuals must do this or do that. Yeah, I've shared this in other classes before. In the Buddha's time, if you look at the suttas, you will see sometimes in certain descriptions, a whole group of people from a certain village, certain town, certain clan come and visit the Buddha. Then each of them would relate to the Buddha differently. Some would announce their name and then sit by the side. Some would address the Buddha, Master Gautama, and then pay respect and then sit by the side. Some would just come in and then just, acknowledge him and then sit by the side. So there's no uniform like, oh, they come together, then they say, 诸位合掌，对面上，至诚, or then 向善，至诚礼佛三拜. No such thing. Yeah, no such thing. Oh, no such thing. Yeah. But gradually over time, over the centuries, some of this became a bit more formalized, a bit more, what do you call it, systematized. Yeah. In part because this only applies to those who are Buddhist. we don't ask visitors who come into the monastery to say, like before, right? Yeah, because we don't know whether they are Buddhist or not. And that's why sometimes you think about it, right? It cuts both ways. So you notice that usually when you go to a monastery, and if there's a prayer, right, usually not much instructions are given. Because we don't know whether when you come in, whether you are Buddhist or not Buddhist. So in a way, we leave it up to you. But on the other hand, so in a way it's good, right? Because we don't impose the practice on anyone. Yeah. But on the other hand, new Buddhists sometimes feel a bit lost. Like, hey, how come like that one? I come here, then nobody to welcome me, nobody tell me what to do. Yeah. Then if I'm lucky, someone passes me a book and then tell me where to read. So you can't have it both ways. Yeah. Yeah, you can't have it both ways. Oh. Yeah. So in any case, regarding this thing about why do Buddhists have to prostrate? Strictly speaking, it's not so much that you have to prostrate. It's not a have to. Yeah. It's more about that towards the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. If you are Buddhist, then it means that you have at least minimally recognized the preciousness and the importance of the triple gem. Yeah. Hence the term triple gem. Yeah. That you consider them the gem, that they are rare, they are precious, they are of value, yeah, to us. And so when we do prostration, it's not so much like I don't know how other religions do it when they pay respects actually. Yeah, because I was never quite in other religion. Yeah, but in Buddhist practices, when we pay respects, it is paying respect to the quality that this individual, whether it's the Buddha, the Dharma, or the Sangha, embodies. And it's paying respect to this ideal that we are aspiring towards attaining. Yeah. Of course, when we bring in Christianity, then there's in Singapore, for the longest time there are I think some a bit more aggressive Christians or extreme Christians who will go around telling people, oh, you are idol worshipping and things like that. Yeah. But actually, almost all religion do some kind of idol worship. Yeah. Almost every religion. Perhaps only Islam, because Islam, they really don't have any form at all, right? But then why is it that sometimes Buddhists will get this wrong, especially from Christians. Oh, you're idol worshipping. Actually, the full sentence is you are worshipping a false idol. The full claim is you are worshipping false idol. Yeah, I think it's inside one of the commandments. Yeah, you shall not worship the false god. Yeah, there's only one true God, and so on and so forth. Yeah, but I'm not an authority. You all can go and fact check. Yeah, there's this website I sometimes like to refer to, BibleGateway.com. So, but that's another thing. But back to Mudita's question, how can we develop mudita in the workplace? Sympathetic joy. Oh, we also translate as appreciative joy. I'm going to wrap up after this. I think the first thing, one very useful practice is practice of no self. Yeah. But how do you practice no self in the workplace? My own experience is, if we take the I out of the equation, yeah, just imagine if you have attained Arahanthood, how would you deal with the project? Yeah, for myself, I'm not Arahant, but there was a point in time when I was working, and I found myself genuinely considering the merits and demerits of my colleagues' suggestion. I was a very aggressive person at work. Aggressive in the sense, I really chong. Yeah. And if there's a project that is tough, I'll be like, I'm the best person to do it. Like, you know who is the best person? I'm a person who would tell my boss, do you know who is the best person for this project? Who? Yeah, look at him. And this works in an American culture, because the two companies, one is Singapore American, but it's very American culture. Then the other one is pure American. Local culture, I would die, I think. But American culture, they love it. They're like, oh, good, confidence. Come, you go and do. Yeah. But then at some point, I found myself still aggressive, but not aggressive for me. Aggressive for the project, aggressive for all the stakeholders. So when we were having this discussion, that I actually shared this many times. So I'm just going to give you the gist of it. I found myself really looking at what my colleagues suggested and asking myself, will it work? Yes. Will mine work? Also yes. Since both can work, then why should I insist that it should be done my way? If my concern is getting the thing done, then anybody's way is okay. And as a result, it also means that I'm willing to let my colleague shine, let my colleague take credit for the outcome. Important thing, that in the end, I told my colleague, yeah, actually, I think yours will work also. Why don't we go along with yours? And you know what happened? My colleague was like, you can see from the face, initially like, huh? Because we are used to like really fighting, neck and neck and arm over it, And suddenly, is this a trap? Yeah, and the important thing is, after we have decided to go along with his way, I put in all I have to make his work succeed. Appreciative joy is not simply saying, oh, you are successful, I clap for you. It extends even before that. That when a person tries to get something done, we help the person succeed. Yeah, if you cannot help the person succeed, you cannot be appreciating their success later on. For more information, I can't remember what is the title of the video, but I've covered this many times. So there's a whole story about one of the last project I did before I enter monkhood. So you all can go and watch the full video. Okay. 合掌回向，愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿得智慧真明了，
愿得智慧真明了，
普愿罪障悉消除，
普愿罪障悉消除，
世世常行菩萨道。
世世常行菩萨道。
阿弥陀佛。
阿弥陀佛。
Till we meet again, may be guided and protected. protected by the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
谢谢师父。
And as always,
乖乖。
have a joyful day ahead. All right, take care, stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. 谢谢师父。
拜拜。
拜拜。拜拜。